Hi, everybody. We are live with the first Friday of the month. I hope everybody is doing well. Um, I'm just going to hang out here for a couple of minutes and wait for someone to say hi. Let's see if we can get this party started. Hi, Linda. Thanks for being here. So, today, yay, Jeannie's here. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you saying hello. That means you can hear me. Hi, Nancy. I'm not going to be able to address everybody, but hi, and thanks for being here. This is Pam Varner. This is the first Friday of the month. I'm here the first Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific time every month, sharing things that I do with my templates and ideas that I have and things like that. If you ever have a desire to see something, by all means, reach out and let me know. I'm always happy to show what I have. Sometimes people ask me for things that I don't have, and then it's kind of hard to show something that you don't have. So we have Charlene and Regina and Jill and Diane and Nancy. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So we're going to get started. Today, we're going to work on making round designs fill a square. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I get frustrated when I do a design that's round, like a spin effects design, artisan design, things like that, and I'm trying to fill a square. And so I find that super challenging to do that. So let's see, I just got my little note kicked out of me. So let me come back here. Anyway, so what I'm going to show you is a little bit of math. And don't freak out because it's really, really easy and you don't have to do the math. I did the math just to figure a few things out and I found out a really easy solution. So we're going to take a peek at the math here. And here's the math. So we're going to pretend, even though it's not, that this is a square, right? And so this is basic geometry, but again, you don't have to remember it. Your A side and your B side are going to be the same if you're dealing with a square, and your C is going to be longer. So the math is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. There's calculators online that you just have to Google right angle calculator and it'll give you all this information and you can plug it in. But there's a simpler way to figure this out. For example, if A and B equals 8, this is 8, this is 8, so it's an 8-inch square. C is 11.3. Well, I'm going to use a 7.5-inch template. So if A and B is 7.5, C equals 10.5. Well, my spinifexes don't come in 10.5, but they come in 9.5. So basically, you use a template that's going to fit, and then you go to the next size up for the second part of the design. So really simple. And we're going to move over to the machine and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So my first block that I have is an 8-inch square. So let me move the camera over to the machine so you can actually see what I'm doing. I think that's pretty important. I don't want to be sewing and you not see. So let me turn this here. Just in case you guys have any questions, by all means, type them in. I will look at them periodically and answer when I can. So, all right, step number 1, we're going to get out today. We're going to use the Spinifex number 10 templates. So we're going to use a bunch of different sizes. This is really helpful if you have a set. You kind of need a set to do this. So any of the Spinifexes will work. And I'm just going to take them all out and get the ones that I need. So I'm going to pull my thread in the middle, but I want to get my template there first. And this is an 8-inch design. I marked it so I would remember. And I have just 8 crosshairs. Very easy, quick design. So I'm looking for my 7.5-inch template, and here it is. Now, this particular template, as you can see, has kind of a pointier end, and this up here is a little bit wider. So I'm going to do my designs with this smaller end in the center and the wider end out on the outside. So I'm going to pull my thread. Boy, this is a lot of thread. I'm going to have to trim that. It's going to get in my way. Pull my threads in the center. I always do that. I always recommend you do that. And I took just a couple of stitches. I am going to trim these threads because they are extremely long and will probably make me crazy. Now, a lot of times what I like to do is get the threads underneath the template. So I just kind of go like this until they're under the template, and then I can hold them. And I am starting on the south. So you want to do north, south, east, and west with this template. Get to the middle. I'm going to skip this line here. This is the hypotenuse. Remember, this is the longer side. I'm going to skip that. And I'm going to go to this over here. Oh, there's a setting on my machine that I need to fix. We're going to do that before we get ourselves in trouble. I don't know if you noticed, but when I stop, my foot pops up, and I don't want to do that. I had been doing some piecing not too long ago. Well, just the other day, I'd been doing some piecing. So we definitely want to get rid of that. So let me do this. And that shouldn't do that anymore. There we go. Yeah, okay. Now we're going to go to the opposite side, moving my threads, lining that up, and off we go. I don't care what spin effects you use, they always make gorgeous designs, don't they? I think they're super fun. Hey, you know what would be a fun thing to find out? Why doesn't everybody share what their favorite spin effects design is? What number? I'm actually going to turn this so you can see. There we go. So this is, again, we've done 1, skip 2, 3, skip 4, 5, skip 6, 7, and then skip 8. So we're doing every other line on 8 crosshairs. Oh yeah, 11, that's my favorite. Anybody else? Okay. Now we're going to take this 7.5 out. Remember, we're working on an 8-inch block. So we're taking out the 7.5 inch. I personally like this gap here, right there, that little gap. I do not like my designs to go all the way to the edge of a block. That's just me. Current favorite. There you go. That's a good one. She has a current favorite. Okay, so we use the 7.5. Now we're just going to jump up to the 10.5 because remember, the hypotenuse is 11.31 with an 8-inch side. Okay, so the 9.5 is going to fit. And if you're not sure, you can just pop it in here like this. And then look at that. See? Now the 11 might fit. The 11.5? No, because it's 11.31. So the 11.5 is not going to fit. So now we're going to take the 9.5 and we're just going to stitch the angles. This lesson is so quick. I just glanced up to see somebody's using the 10. Oh, this is the 10. Doing a hexagon. Seeing if you change your points and use 5 points or a 6-point crosshair, you get even more possibilities with these templates. Look at that. And by using the same shape, I like to use the same shape. Now you could do a different shape. That certainly would work. You notice when I adjust my hands, I stop the machine and adjust my hands. I need to get back to center. There we go. If you try and adjust your hands on the template while the machine is running, chances are you're going to go off the template. So some of these templates are big. And sometimes I like to adjust my hands. So like I'm going to come down here and probably adjust my hand when I get close to my thumb. See, because I don't want to hit my thumb against the foot here. So I'm going to move it. And I stop the machine to do that. Okay, so now we're done. See how quick that was? Oops, my tape got stuck on my foot. I like blue tape. I've been using blue tape since the beginning, and I just like blue tape. So that's why I have blue tape. So now we're going to pull our threads. Raise the needle, raise the foot, pull the threads towards me, put the needle down, raise it again, raise the foot, hold that loop that I pulled, hold the thread coming out of the needle, pull that, and that releases the bobbin thread. And then I pull on the bobbin thread to find out what's coming out of the bobbin and what's attached. And that's the side that I cut. And then, oops, cut the needle thread. And here we go. I'm going to show you all these designs when we're done. And now we have a design that's gone to the corners. And it's a square design, but it's made with a round template. You know, a template that's supposed to make a round design. Okay, so there's one option. Now, this works for almost every size block. So on a 6-inch block, you would start with a 5.5 template and then go to a 7.5. This is an 8-inch. We started with a 7.5 and went to a 9.5. On a 10-inch block, you would start with a 9.5 and then go to an 11.5. On a 12-inch block, that's a little different. You've got the hypotenuse on a 12-inch block is 16.97, almost 17 inches, right? But the design size, the hypotenuse, is 16.26. So in that case, you can use two 7.5-inch templates. So you do your 11.5 and then two 7, and I'm going to show you how to do the two because I think it's super fun. So we're going to move to a 10-inch design. We're going to hang on to this because we're going to use it later. So we're going to set it down there. Oh, let me show you the design if you guys can kind of get a good view. I can't back my camera up, but later on I can take it over to the board and I'll show you all the different designs. So there's design number 1. I know, isn't it pretty? I love it too. Okay, next up we have a 10-inch square. So here's my 10-inch square. Again, this time I'm going to start with my 9.5. And then I'm getting the templates out that I'm going to need next. Okay. So again, pull in the middle. If you guys need a refresher on how to pull your bobbin thread, I have a really basic YouTube video on my YouTube channel, on my Sassy Notions YouTube channel. And it is step by step, goes so slow. It really hits. Oh, you know what? I don't want to do that. Look what I'm doing. I'm going off in the corners. I got distracted by myself. There we go. All right, same thing. I'm going to start with the north, south, and the east and the west, and I'm going to stitch those. And normally I wouldn't clip my threads, but this is just a demo, and I'm not going to save these. Must have moved a little bit. The bigger the templates, the more cumbersome they become. So as you're getting ready to make your holiday gifts and things like that, I hope you start stretching your imagination on how you can make your designs fill your block instead of always having a circular design in your square block. This will give you an alternative. Line that up. Kathy, sometimes I go north, south, east, west. Sometimes I go north, east, southwest. It kind of depends. I mean, you are better off going north, south, east, west to get a good balance of your batting and your quilting threads. But it also depends on if I'm doing a quilt and not just a small piece. Sometimes it's easier for me to go around like clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, so this is done. We did those 4. Okay. Now, I told you the hypotenuse is, what did I tell you? I have it written down because I can't remember all of this. It's 14.14. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these threads because they're in my way. And I'm going to keep running over them and they're going to get stitched down a bunch. I'm going to mix a 7.5 with a 5.5 inch design because 7.5 and 5.5 is going to give me 7 and 5 is 12, is going to give me 13 inches, right? And I have more than 14 inches to work with. So that's what we're going to do. And hopefully the math works and we will get this taken care of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch up to the line and I'm going to stop. Oh, yeah. I have to think about east and west too. And I live on the West Coast, so it's kind of easier for me to say almost everything is east of me, which is to my right. So this is the 7.5. And I'm going to come up here. When I get to the top, I'm going to stop. Now, this takes a little longer, but depending on what template you have, you may have to do this, right? Because you may not have the 11.5-inch template. You may only have the smaller ones. Okay, yeah, the pointy thing. And then this is going to come here, and I'm going to go this way. Now notice that when I came up behind the machine here, I came on my left. When I get to here, now I'm going to go on my right. Uh, that's really important that you go the opposite side of where you came from when you're mixing templates. And that's so you don't have any problems getting things to cross. Take this off. Now, this is where it gets a little more challenging because we don't have the foot's not anywhere that holds my template in place, right? So I have to use, what I'm using is these lines on the template. Let me take this out. Let me hold this up. Hopefully you can, let's go like this. There we go. I'm using these lines on my template on the crosshairs that are on the quilt sandwich. And that's how I'm lining up my template to make sure that everything is going to go back where it's supposed to. That goes there, that goes there. So I've lined up my lines behind the machine, and I've lined up this center line. And so when I come back down this way, I should end up in the center. Yay, that worked. Okay. Now we're going to go the opposite side. And I just dropped my stiletto. Hold on, give me a sec. Okay, this time I'm going to stitch on the right side just so you can see what I'm doing. Well, I'm going to explain. So I stitched on the right side there. I'm stopping on the line. Now the Spinifex number 4, because it's rounded, it's a little more difficult to stop. Where these templates, like these and a bunch of the other Spinifexes, have a definite stop in the center, right in the top of the center. So now I'm lining that one up, and now I came up on the right side. I'm going to now stitch on the left side. And my template just slipped. We're going to see what happens when I go back down. My feed dog's got, here we go. My feed dog's got, I hit the button on accident. Yeah, that's all right. Take this out. Put the 7 back in. You know, if you're actually doing this instead of talking while you're doing it, it goes a lot faster. But I want to make sure. Okay, so now here, right, the lines here, I want to make sure are on my crosshairs. And that's there, and that's there. And so now this should work out perfect. And there's a piece of fuzz on my quilt sandwich that's making me crazy. I have to get it. Okay. We have 2 more to go. And I think I might have said this already, but I think as long as the shape is the same, everywhere, it adds a certain balance to your design. And so I've done um, things where you can also do the smaller template inside. That looks really fun. Put this in, close that up. The last one I'm going to do against what I recommend so you can see what can happen. I'll try and mess it up. Sometimes when you want to mess it up to show people, you're not very successful. I'm trying to mess it up really, and it just, yeah. Okay, so I had to move things just a stitch. There we go. I have one more, and that was off a little bit because my template moved. I should maybe put gloves on. Let me put gloves on. I seem to be slipping around today a little bit. And if I put my gloves on, I may not have that problem. Oh, Diane has for those of you that have the templates with the little needle slots in them, I'm super jealous. I have so many templates I couldn't. So these are not quilting gloves, by the way. These are compression gloves, but they have rubber grips on the palms and the fingers, and I like that my fingertips are exposed. And if it feels good, the compression feels good. And so when I'm done quilting, it's like my hands have gotten massaged. Okay, so this time we're going to stitch on the left side and stop at the top. Okay. And then, because I tell people this all the time, but I don't show them why. Okay. Now this time we're going to stitch on the left side again. Oh, perfect. I made the boo-boo. Yay. That's why I don't do this. So I remember I stitched left here, left, and then right, and now I'm going back right. And I'll be able to show you what can happen when you don't cross. And that's why I'm really adamant about teaching people to cross their designs. Oh, this is just perfectly imperfect. Okay. Where's my stiletto? It's right there. And normally I would bury my threads, but I'm just not going to take the time to do that. Another thing I do a lot is I will keep a little piece of batting. Like when I trim a quilt and I have like maybe a 2-inch or a 3-inch piece of batting, I'll save that and put my threads on it. All right, so here we go. See what happened? Let me see if I can get my thumb out of the way. There we go. See how it didn't meet right here? There's a little gap. On all the others, it crosses. So what you want to do is you want to come up on one side, go the other side, come back down, and you're always going to get that cross where it's going to close that up. This, it left a little bit of a gap. So there is a 10-inch design showing two different templates. Now you can do that on a much smaller scale, so we're going to do that next. The 4-inch, I've never been able to get a 4-inch to work the way it's supposed to with a 3.5 and a 5. I don't know why. We'll see what happens today. But I came up with an alternative. Now, the method that I use where you take one template and then go the next size up works on a 4.5-inch square. So if you're using charm pack and you're making a quilt out of a charm pack, then you're going to get a perfect mix of a 3.5 and a 5.5. Now, in reality, the 4-inch, the hypotenuse is 5.65. So my 5.5 template should fit, but it doesn't sometimes. The last time I tried it, it didn't work. So I don't know. We'll see what happens today. So I just want to show you what this looks like on a much smaller scale. And I'm just checking for questions. Okay. Do you keep the needle? Ginny, yes, you keep the needle down and just raise the foot when you're switching templates. Okay. Pull our threads. Oh, today, because I love it so much, I'm using glide thread. I'm using glide thread in the top with a size 90 top stitch needle. And I'm using water soluble thread in my bobbin. And that's so I can keep reusing these sandwiches over and over and over for you guys. So, okay, here we go. Give that a little pressure and now on a regular quilt, I would not spin. I wouldn't be able to spin my whole quilt, right? So what I would do is I would use these lines on my crosshairs down here and line up the straight line, which is hard to see because of the tape, but it goes right along there. I can see this edge right here. And I've marked this template, and then I kind of peek my head around the back to make sure everything is set up there, and off I go. And that's, I just stitched over my thread tail. Not my favorite thing to do. And now I'm going to turn here, line that up, line that up. I love how a Spinifex takes such a basic design and makes it so elaborate and pretty and all of the above. Let's see. That's lined up. That's lined up. Off we go. I've also mixed small designs with Spinifexes with the larger Spinifexes on the same quilt. So I'm going to show you. This is a 5.5 inch. This makes no sense to me. See how that is going to go and hit the edge there? Let me see. Maybe you can see it better on this one. and you're going to come right up to the edge of the block. It's not going to make it square, right? It kind of makes it strange. So I don't use the 5.5. What I do is I get out the mini and I mix the 2.5 and the 1.5 because 2.5 and 1.5, that's 2, 3, that's 4 inches. And I could possibly do both 2.5 and 2.5 is 5. That would fit much better than the 5.5. And it would be faster too, right? Because I wouldn't have to switch all the time. So if I go up here with the 2.5, we're just going to visually see if we like it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So now this is going to be double stitched. Oh, let's see. That comes a little too close for me. I don't like the way that looks. I can, like the opening of the template is right on the edge of the block, which means it's going to be a 1/4 inch away. Well, you know what? We're just going to do it because you saw what the design looked like with the 7.5 and the 5.5. So let's see what it looks like when you use the same size templates to double it up. I'm off a little. There we go. Well, that wasn't perfect by anybody's standards. So, okay. Only do part of the design, Pam. There we go. I'm going to explain why you have colored the inside. Oh, so Regina, this is actually permanent marker that I put on these templates. And I did it when I was working on a darker quilt. It was it was a pieced quilt and it had a whole bunch of colors in it and things like that. And it just made it easier for people to see the openings in the camera. See how well you can see that compared to the 5.5, which isn't. I'll put that up against the fabric. And you can see this opening a lot better. So that's why I did it. But I guess if your eyesight was starting to go, that would be kind of good too. Line that up and hopefully go back to center. Yay, that was a good one. Well, this is going to be cute. So if you don't want to do the math, you could just take out a ruler and measure from corner to corner, or lay the template out and see. So the 5.5, oh, let's not do that again. The 5.5 didn't look good with this. And I can't explain, it's just it's smaller. And I didn't follow my advice on any of this because I got flustered. So the 5.5 didn't look good, but 5 inches looks great. And 2.5 and 2.5 is 5. And if you have the mini, then yay. I need someone to police me and call me back. Oh, Diane, you really need the minis. I suggest that you start with whatever your favorite Spin Effects set is and get the mini that goes with that. So the minis are sold in sets of 3s, or you can buy them individually. This could have been better if I hadn't messed up a couple of times. There we go. There's this. Oops, come here. Oh, there we go. I'm like, what are you doing, Pam? Okay, let's see. All right, so there you go. There's that. So just real quick, we're going to go look at all of these designs that we've just done. I'm going to take them over to the board so you can see them better. So here we started with the 8-inch design, and that was using the 7.5 and the 9.5, okay, on the 8-inch. And then we went to the 10-inch design using the 9.5, the 7.5, and the 5.5. So 2 templates, different sizes on the corners, 1 template on the corner. I feel like an eye doctor. 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. Okay, and then we have the 4-inch. I really like this, with a combination of the 2.5 twice. So I don't know, I really like that. I think that's super fun. So those are ways that you can do square designs with spin effects, and pretty much works with all your spin effects, you guys. So get out all those spin effects. And next up, we're going to use a totally different set of templates. So let me move the camera again. And let me check for, this is a really good time to ask questions while I'm putting templates away and getting out other templates. So, well, anybody know what happened to this live on Facebook? You know what, Linda? I don't know. I don't set them up. I just go in and broadcast. So I think that maybe they didn't add Facebook this time, which is really too bad. So I will have to, and I don't know how to do that. So I'm glad that you found me though. Not a problem, Isabel. Okay, next up, we have a 12-inch block. And I put a heart on it. So what do you think is going to happen? I think we're going to use some kind of heart. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these away. Let me get these out of here so that they don't get lost. And we're going to use the strand of hearts from the Jewel collection. I just love these templates. So if you've never used these, step number 1, you need a pin. So the way that I like to do pins is I take it from the top. I don't use tape. I take the tack or the pin, whatever you want to. Yes, it will be recorded to YouTube. I go right in the hole and go straight down. Boy, that was really hard. And then I wiggle this around. Oops, you can't see me. Wiggle, 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 kind of like in a little circle, like you're washing a miniature window. That makes a hole in my fabric. It also makes a hole in the back. That's going to go away with steam or a hot iron. And then I come through the back, I find the hole in the back, and it pops right up in the center where I went down. So if you have a hard time getting the pin in the center, that's sometimes really helpful. Okay. Then I take a pin more and I cover the pin while I'm talking and moving. Like if I'm moving this from my cutting table to my sewing machine, I cover the pin, and that's so that the pin doesn't fall out on the bottom and I step on it. And it also just holds everything in place. And then I don't scratch myself. So there's a whole bunch of things for that. So the strand of hearts comes in 3.5, 5.5, 8.5, 2.5. No, not 2.5, 4.5, 9.5, 6.5, 7. It comes in a bunch of different sizes. And each template, except for a couple of them, have 2 sizes on them. So let me get something dark to put behind this. Give me a sec here so you can see. And the jewel collection comes in diamonds, pearls, and hearts. And the pearls come in 2 sizes. Everything else, the diamonds and the hearts, only come in a 1 inch. And the 1 inch is the size of the heart or the diamond. So here we go. This is the template. This is half a heart. This is half a heart. And then this is the center line. And then you have these 2 lines here, which are the center of the heart. And if you follow the center of the heart down the templates, you will come to a pinhole. That's where you put the pin when you're using this side of the template. Maybe I should turn this around. This is the 8.5 inch size. This side down here is a 5.5 inch size. So you follow from the center down to this pinhole. You don't want to use this pinhole with these hearts. It won't line up. Nothing will line up. So follow the lines from the heart down until you find the pinhole that you want to go into. Okay. We're going to use the 11.5 inch template, which I think might be this one. Yep, it's this one. The 11.5 inch only has 1 pinhole. See, it's a big template. It only has 1 pinhole, but we're only stitching up here. So even though it's a big template, you see I've only put stable tape up here on the top. I haven't put stable tape down here on the bottom because when I stitch, I'm holding on to the top of the template only. Okay. So we're going to put that on the pinhole. Now, remember I showed you the lines that go in the center of the, it's really helpful if I don't lose my stiletto. I just had it. Like, how can I? There it is. So we're going to take these lines and line them up on every line. I've marked 16 crosshairs, not just 8. I've marked 16. And that's going to create my heart. So I'm going to start with the part of the design that goes straight down from center. So not on any one of the angles. Okay. And I'm using this line here. I don't have to worry about this line that's covered up by my tape up here on the top. Up here, I don't have to worry about that. I only have to worry about the center line. Because if the center line is on my crosshair, then this is going to be where it's supposed to be. Because, the template's, there. So you pull your thread at the top. Now with the strand of hearts, every heart is going to be double stitched. And we're going to take a couple of stitches. You stitch down from the outside towards the center. You make your little curve. and then you come back. See, it's only 1/2 inch, so it's perfect. Then you slide the template like this. You can also line it up, make sure it's lined up. And now I'm going to stitch the other part of my heart. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, my hearts aren't perfect. When I turn this, when I turn my template, rotate my template, whatever you want to call it. Let me get these threads out of the way. I can line up my line here on the next part where I'm going to stitch, and then I don't have to stop. I just stitched down. I move my template, and now I stitch. Oh, I didn't check to see if that was lined up, and it wasn't, so I have to kind of look. Okay, now we're going to go to the next one. Double stitch my heart. Now, this is where we have, it's not really a problem, but it's where we need to fill in something in this corner. Now, you could do all kinds of things here. You could spray out with your arcs. You could do all kinds of things to fill in this corner. Or you could take the 1-inch heart from the heart collection, right? The set of 6 templates of the heart collection, and find your little 1-inch heart, which, you know, I put it away. I had it out, and then I was being really good and put everything away, and now I can't find anything. Not the case, a little tiny 1-inch. Okay. And you can stitch it here, but gosh, you know, that's still not taking up a lot of space. It's not coming up high enough for me. The 2-inch, I tried the 2-inch once and I thought it was too big. See, look, I put the 2-inch in and it comes almost to the edge of the block, and Pam doesn't like that. So we're not going to do that one. We're going to go back to the 1-inch. But because I did the Starry Nights, I understand the concept of stitching out a little bit before you do a design. So we're going to use this right here on the heart template. Did I have my stable tape on the wrong side? I don't think so. On this particular template, there's stable tape on both sides. So Linda, I don't know if you're talking about the heart template or the jewel template. So anyway, if I take this and compare it to this opening here, it's about, it's a little bit more than a 1/2 inch. Maybe it's 3/4 of an inch. This opening here. This here is a little too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my heart template and I'm going to set this opening here in line with my needle. And then I'm going to use my spacing gauge to make sure that I stay on this line, on the line. And I'm going to stitch down. That doesn't look like it's going to stay on the line, but it did. Until my needle's in line with this point right here. So I just stitched up a little bit. The reason I'm using this is because it's here, right? I could have used my spacing gauge and maybe gone up a half an inch, and tried to figure out, how to do that, how to mark it. I could have done that, but this is here. It's in my hand. I might as well use it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch the heart, and I'm going to show you a trick with the heart. So this, you stitch half the heart, and then you flip the template and you stitch the other half. But before you move your template, right, you want to make sure everything is lined up perfectly. And I only have that one line. I could do that, or I could take my 2-inch template. See how it has these lines? It has lines everywhere. Line up one of the lines with the center line of the design. Butt the two templates up against each other. Hold on to the 2-inch, flip the 1-inch, put it back in, and line up the center with that line that I had. Oops. There we go. It's butted up against this template. It's in the center. So now I know things are going to go where they're supposed to. And that's how I make sure that my hearts come out. Okay, now I'm going to go back. I don't need to measure, right? I just need to make sure I'm doing the outside. I could, out of the outside of the template, I could get out my 12-inch arc or any other straight ruler, but I really don't need it. Okay. Now we're going to put this guy back in. So Linda, your question about the stable tape on this template, no, it's on the bottom. So there's nothing, the only thing on the top is my blue tape. So we're going to stick that in there. We're going to put this back on. You know what I didn't do? I'm going to show you guys another trick, which I should do before we get too much farther, especially if I'm going to be taking this off. If you take a piece of tape, and it has to have some kind of color to it, like the pink tape or the blue tape, and you pop it over your pin, it kind of gives you, you can see the pin better. I don't know why, it doesn't make sense to me, but you can see the pin better when you want to get your template back on it. So there we go. See how easy that was? And before it wasn't so easy. Okay, so here I am. I have already stitched that out. I'm going to this particular area here. Uh-oh. My thread's acting up. That's why I started to go really slow. We'll see what happens. I just put in a new needle today for you guys. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to take that off. Why am I doing that? Okay, let's put that back on and then rotate the template. I got flustered because of my, oh, I think I'm going to have to change my needle. Let's see what happens. If it does it again, we're going to have to change the needle. I don't like it when I can't slow or stitch at a little faster speed. Nope, the stable tape's on the bottom. I promise there's no stable tape right here. It's underneath. Okay, I'm gonna have to change my needle. Let me finish this heart. Okay. So normally I wouldn't do this. I would, if I had to change, well, you know what? Let me show you what I would do. If I had to change, oh my bobbin, oh no, there it is. If I had to change a needle in the middle of a project, right, and I'm in the middle of stitching, so I've cut a very long top thread, and then I'm going to cut a pretty long bobbin thread, right? Then what I can do is I can take a really sharp stiletto or a seam ripper. Seam ripper works really good. Hold on, let me get my seam ripper. Oh, I see. Oh yeah, you're right. The template is upside down. So I have the stable tape on the top instead of the bottom. So you just pull this a little bit and it pulls the bobbin thread that I've cut on the bottom. Pull that through. Now I can bury these two threads and continue on. So that's what I would do on a real quilt. This isn't a real quilt. So you just saw me bury threads, which I'm happy to show you. So yes, my template is upside down. I will see about fixing that. But let me get this needle changed real quick because I have more to show you. I don't like it when I have a new needle that acts up. I mean, it happens. I don't like it. So there's the new one. See, I just almost hit myself. So what I'm going to do is take my pin more and put it over my tack, my little thumbtack. And then that way I won't hurt myself. Okay. And then I don't know what you guys do with used needles. Because this broke the thread, I'm not going to keep it. But I put used needles, I call them bad needles. Poor things. I shouldn't call them bad. I should call them used. And I put them in a pill bottle. And then when this gets filled up, I lay them all down. And sometimes I take them like to Walgreens or something, and sometimes they'll take them and sometimes they won't. Or I'll tape them to cardboard with packing tape so that they can't get loose and hurt somebody. I gotta tell you, when I got more than 5 people watching me, this is the hardest thing in the world to do, is to change a needle. Okay, let's hope that we have success, okay? Everybody think good thoughts for my new needle. The other thing I usually do whenever I change a needle, rethread the machine, change the bobbin, any of that, I always test my stitching. And where I usually test it is outside the quilt, right? So we're going to do that real quick. I'm just going to show you what I do because I think it's really important to do this. So I always use the 2-inch simple circle to test my stitching. Why not use your pin cover all the time? Because there's not enough room to put this on top of the, it'll fall off of the the template. I'll show you. Close your eyes. Thanks, Regina. I appreciate that. I appreciate you not looking when I change my needle. So what I usually do, I always leave myself 2 inches of batting. Sometimes if it's a big quilt, I might leave 3 inches, but I never less than 2 inches. And then I take the fabric, the extra fabric that, I trimmed or had extra fabric, and I use the 2-inch simple circle to test my tension. I do this before every class. I do this before every quilt. Again, every time I change my needle, change my thread, have to rethread or change the bobbin. This is what I do. And if I just turn the machine on, I'll do the same thing. Hold my thread, start stitching. Get this thread out of the way. There we go. Alrighty, it seems to be fine. So you will see me, and the reason I use the 2-inch simple circle is because it's 360 degrees of stitching. So I can tell the entire time that if it's a good stitch all the way around. If it messes up between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, then if I'm going this direction, it has a hard time stitching that way, then I know I need to adjust my tension. I don't agree that it's going to mess up when it only goes in one direction. I can always get my tension to behave. Let me say that. Okay, we're going back to the 11.5-inch template. We're going to put it back on the pin. And see, it's not enough room to hold that. It's not going to stay on there. Push it, see, I just can't get it to go enough to hold that on there. I just lied. Let's see what happens. Now, I don't think you could do this with a high shank template. This is a low shank template. So I don't think you could do it with a high shank, but let's see what happens. Well, made a fibber out of me, didn't you? I guess I never pressed hard enough to get it to go. So now, we're back in business. And we were there. And now we're going off here. And I want to make sure that that's lined up. And it's not. There we go. Now, if you have the strand of hearts, but you don't have, you have the jewel collection, but you don't have the heart set, you could use these templates that I'm using right now to make a 1-inch heart. It's a little more complicated, but let's see if we can pull it off. Okay. To take this off. Boy, needle slots for this template would be really nice. Put that over there. Remember, we wanted to come up a 1/2 inch. So let's say we use this, right? This is an inch. I'm getting out my chalk. Let's see. So half an inch. We had gone up 3/4. So there's half an inch. I could also get out a ruler. Let's just mark over there. And then another 1/4 of an inch. There we go. So I want to come up to this line right here. That's where I want to stitch to. So I can use my template because it has a straight edge and my spacing gauge. And I love my pink spacing gauge. It's so fun. Okay. Stitch up to there. Okay. Now, oops, we have to open this up again. And the heart is, where is that? That's on the, yeah, okay. It faces the opposite direction. Right? It faces this way. But how am I going to get, oh, there we go. See what happens. Put this over here. I'm using this line and I'm lining that up there. It's faster with the other one only because you don't have to keep opening this up. But oh, you know what? You wouldn't have to close it. We'll do it on the next corner, right? Because this tape is really having a hard time. You wouldn't have to close this. You could put the tape right there. You could do that and then do that one and then slip out and then put this back and start over, right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to people. Let me go back, see if I can go back without using it. Spacing gauge, I wasn't very good at that. That was really bad. Okay, don't do that unless you're really good at it. I'm usually pretty good at it, but I couldn't see that time. Okay, so now put this back in. Oh, I'm excited to show you what I just figured out in my head when we get to the next corner. Okay. And now here we're going to go there and we're going to go this way. And that's got to be on the line. Turn that way. Oops, went off the template. Because these are both double stitched, you could take a seam ripper and just take out those couple stitches and you would be fine. My eyes are a little off. I'm not seeing the line the way I should be. Let's see. Oh, goody, we're on the next corner. Okay. We have to do this first. Now, on both of these, we have to take this template out, right? So I'm just going to stick the tape down there because there's room. I've also been known to tape it to my machine. I don't want to lose this puzzle piece. I'm going to put it over here on the right. Sometimes I put it on top of my machine. It just kind of depends. So now what I need to do is move up, right? We decided we're going 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to start here with the 1/2 inch and then add 1/4. So to that little line right there. Okay. Now, I want my heart to go this way. I want to line this line up with the center line here. Come up. Go back down. And then this one, same thing. See, because you don't stitch along here, so you don't need to close that up while you're doing that, and that will save you time. And then a little spacing gauge so I get a better idea going back down. Oh, that looks much nicer. Alrighty. I'm gonna try and go a little bit faster. I'm reading your comments. Okay. Yeah, aren't these gloves great? Oh my goodness. Alrighty. It's not. There we go. Oops, I didn't go far enough. Oh well, this heart's not going to have a closure at the. I didn't complete that heart. Sorry about my head. I'm just making sure this is lined up. Oh, I did it again. I'm not. Maybe this will work. Okay, this is a corner, and I just dropped my spacing gauge, so give me a sec. There we go. We're almost done. And then I'll show you my favorite design. I just dropped a marking pen. Oh, bang. It made a loud noise. Take this off. Let's take this off. I'm actually going to tape this down to the insert on my table. There we go. That way I know I'm not going to lose it. Okay. This is the last marking I have to do. Oops. I'm gonna have to go a little short on that because that one was really fat. So one was too much, the other's just right. There we go. This way. Line that up, line that up. Go back down. Do the spacing gauge on this side and see if that works. Okay. And let's see. We just have a couple more to do. I've done this on placemats. But it looks really cute. It also makes a really cute pillow. So for those of you that have embroidery machines, you could embroider somebody's name in the middle. And now we're at the end, and I'm just going to come back like that. Pull the threads, and we will be done. Now, again, I'm just cutting because I'm not going to keep this. And now, we have all of this space in the center, right? Just like this empty space. You could take a smaller strand and put more hearts in the center. And instead of doing every one, depending on how close together they are, otherwise you end up with interlocking hearts. You could do that. That would look really nice, but you've just seen me do hearts in a strand. So there's no reason to do that again, but you could do that and it would look really nice. The other thing you can do if you have, or the heart template, is you can put hearts in the center, the big 6-inch heart. You also could put a spinifex in here, right? So 11.5 with 2 1-inch hearts. So that's 11.5 minus 2 is 9.5. So the distance from this to here is 9.5 inches. A 9.5 spinifex would come right up to there. So maybe I would use a 7.5 spinifex. And then you could do a big spinifex design in the center of this. That would look really nice. Any artisan would look really nice in the center of this. There's just whatever your heart desires. A wreath would look nice in the center of this, all sorts of fun things. But I'm going to show you my favorite heart. So this is using all of the heart templates from the 6-inch heart set. And let's see, make sure I have them all here. which I do. So they come in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-inch size. So I start with the 6-inch and I kind of place it where I think it's going to look good. Let's see, do I want it closer down here? Do I want it? It doesn't really matter. It's not going to touch anything. And there is stable tape on both sides. Okay, so we're just going to figure out where we're going to put this. And we're going to pull our thread. I took a couple of stitches and now I'm going to stitch down to the bottom. This is a very large template. I'm floating off the template, so it's not going to look as good when we get done. I would tear that out and start over. Now, if you don't want to use my method to line this up, the way that you do that is you turn it around this way. You know what? Here, we're just going to cut these off right here. Shh. There we go. Don't do that on a real quilt. Okay. We're coming up here. So I lined this line up with the center line and this line with the center line. And I should end up back where I started. Again, having to stop to readjust my hands. I like my hands as close to the needle as possible. So when these really large templates, that's why I move my hands. Okay, perfect. So there's my 6-inch heart. Okay. Next, I'm going to take the 5-inch. This is a 5-inch. And I started on the right-hand side, so I'm going to do this on the right-hand side. I want to go back and forth between sides. And I'm going to stitch down to the bottom. This is my favorite design, and I'm going to claim it as my signature design. I'm done with this template. I'm now going to go to my 4-inch. I'm going to line my 4-inch, make sure it's my 4-inch. It's 4-inch heart. I'm going the opposite side. I just did the right. Now I'm going to do the left. And I'm going to stitch up to the top. Karen, they sell pin moors at almost like local quilt shops. I've seen them online. It's you've got it spelled correctly, but it's all one word. So just go ahead and look that up online. PINMOOR. Or if you want to send me an email, my email is on Sew Studies website under like instructors. Then I can maybe send you in the right direction. So this is now the 3-inch heart, and I'm doing the right-hand side because I did the 4-inch on the left. So I'm not making complete hearts. And I moved the template, but it doesn't matter, right? We're gonna finish up on we got the 2-inch heart. I kind of messed that up, but as long as I get back in the center on the top, I'm okay. Was making sure I was spelling pin more correctly. Okay, now here we're going to make a complete heart because it would look kind of funny if you just left it like that. So I came from the left, I'm starting on the right. Flip this over, make sure it's lined up. I'm going to take this to the board, and then I have one more quick thing to show you in the promo for today. It said I'm going to show you a sassy heart. I have some sassy heart ideas, so there's that. And it goes out to the corners, so you've squared it up and you filled in the center. Again, so many different ideas for filling in the center. And pay no attention to that little boo-boo right there. But I call this a hanging heart. Okay. The last thing we're going to do, and I thought since we'd been making so many things with feathers that I would, or with hearts in this class, that I would just kind of stay with that theme. And now we're going to make feather hearts. So I know a lot of people have the heart template. And if you don't, oh my gosh, that's what got me started. I played with templates at a quilt store and just immediately fell in love with them because of the feathers. And that was what they had. They had a 3-inch feather. I played with a 3-inch feather and I was completely hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that's what got me started in ruler quilting. I used to always tell people I didn't like feathers. And it's not that I didn't like them, it's just I couldn't do them. Like, free motion just doesn't work for me. My brain doesn't wrap around it, but I can quilt with templates. Okay, so these are my feather templates. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like that design. And I'm going to show you what I've done on my feather templates. This is my feather template. And if you can see that black line right there, that line is exactly 1/4 of an inch below here, which is where it stitches. So I took a ruler, I lined up 1/4 of an inch. You can use your 12-inch arc if you want to. Line up 1/4 of an inch line and then draw a line right on your template. By using this line, the sides of your feathers are always going to be the same height. And that's why I started doing that when I do some of my sassy feathers. So today we're making hearts. Now, usually when you do feathers, you start here at the bottom, right? And you stitch up and you use the center line because it's marked center, right? We're going to count 3 from center. So center is 1, 2, 3. And that's what we're going to put on the center line is here. The important part about a heart is you never want to use the center line. And you probably don't want to use the second one either. I would say the third one is probably your friend. You can also use the fourth one, but never the first one. And I'll show you why. So I'm going to pull my thread on the line. I've drawn a line. You don't want to stitch your center line. You only want to draw it. Okay. So we're going to start on this side. Remember, I said the third. So 1, 2, 3 over. Make sure that things are lined in the back here. I'm straight. This is straight. I'm going to stitch around here up to here. No, I don't want to do that. I want to stitch from here down to the bottom, right? I told you always start your feathers here. With heart, I apologize. You start up here. I started to think about what was coming next. I was like, wait, that's not going to work. So Let's see, what could we come up with? What mnemonic could we come up with for hearts on the top? Okay, this is lined up on this line. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to stitch down and I'm going to stop when I get to the line. I'm going to move the template over, and here's the beauty of that line. If I put my template, right, I still have my 1, 2, 3, I want to go over 3, and I have this line on top, then my stitches, and you have to turn it a little bit to see it because it's distorted, but my stitches are going to be even. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And then we're going to, what I call bounce back. About, I would say, at least 1 in from the edge. So this line right here, you can see it's in line with the heart below it, or the side of the heart right here. So I'm 1 over from that. And then I just move my template up like I would if I was making, you know, a plume of feathers, or a, what do you call that? A bunch of feathers. What would you call that? It's not a strand of feathers. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go back. We're going to hit the one behind us. And then we're going to come up. That's the edge. We're going to about there. Is that where we want to be? Yeah, that looks like a good place. Move that up. Again, stitch to the center line. Move this over. 1, 2, 3. So do you see the key to the hearts is you don't want to have it go all the way to the center line, or it's going to close it up. And if you want to, you could come in a little bit closer and switch to something smaller. Like you could switch to the 2-inch. I was using the 3-inch. Well, the 2-inch is not the best hearts, but it's a nice way to kind of finish it off. They're really tiny. 1, 2, and I'm not going to hit down there. So that wasn't a smart thing to do. Well, how did that happen? That's still not going to hit. I'm going to have to tilt this a little. I'm going to have to fudge it. When I come here, I'm going to take this away and I'm going to stitch down until I hit it. There we go. So that's just something fun you can do with your feather templates, is you can make feathered hearts. So you could do that all the way around on a border. It'd be fun on a baby quilt. Okay, if I didn't answer a question, by all means, please pop it up again. And right now, I'm going to post some links for the products that I used today, for the templates that I used today. So give me a second to get to there where I can do that. And okay, we'll do one at a time. The first one is the strand of hearts. Copy that. Let's see if that worked. Oh, I hope that works. Oh, and then the next is the heart template set. And then the next one is the Spinifex number 10. And again, just to remind you, if there's something you want to see, by all means, oh, good. Thank you, Linda. By all means, reach out, and I am happy to add whatever it is that people want. Next month, I think I'm going to work on edge to edge pumpkins. And these are the feather templates, I believe. Yeah. So those are all the products that I use today. And then I'll take you to Sew Steady's site. So if you have a local quilt shop, by all means, please support them. If you have problems finding a product, by all means, reach out. And you're welcome. I'm glad that you learned a lot. Oh, Baptist, sassy Baptist fans. Regina, is that what you want me to do? I'm just waiting to see if there's any more questions. Oh, you know what? Let me push this up a little bit so you can see it better. There we go. Regina wants Baptist fan. I do Baptist fans a little sassy too. So you're welcome, everybody. Okay. I moved the design, Charlene, so I think you can see it better. Alrighty, everybody, I'm going to take off. I want you to have a great weekend. I hope that you've been inspired to bring out your quilts and do some quilting this weekend. And be sure to show your pictures on Westerly by me so I can see them. And if you want to tag me, go ahead and do that too. And thanks for being here, everybody. It means a lot to me. So, again, have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye, everybody.